ultra-realistic 4K wide shot of a shattered galaxy map floating above a Jedi Council chamber. Holograms flicker as Jedi Masters argue about growing Sith activity. A new dark fleet, cloaked in crimson energy, spreads across star systems. Young apprentices watch nervously as tension rises. The Republic grows weaker, corruption dividing its senators. Outside, fleets prepare for war, ships gleaming under twin suns. In the shadows, whispers of a new Sith Lord circulate. Camera pans to a lone figure hidden under a dark hood, watching the council unseen. Cinematic IMAX, scope, moody lighting, hyper-detailed environment. Cinematic 4K shot of a desert planet marketplace, filled with alien life forms, colorful stalls, and dusty winds. A young Force-sensitive smuggler, Kale, sells stolen tech while evading bounty hunters. Suddenly, stormtrooper-like enforcers march through, scattering civilians. Kale senses danger moments before an ambush erupts. Blaster fire lights up the sand-filled streets, glowing bolts reflecting off metallic armor. Kale draws an ancient lightsaber, shocking the attackers with his hidden power. Crowds gasp as whispers of Jedi spread like wildfire. High-detail action frame, sparks and dust flying, shot in dramatic IMAX scope. Ultra-detailed 4K cinematic sequence inside a Sith warship bathed in red light. The new Sith Lord, Darth Solis, removes his mask, revealing molten eyes burning with fury. He studies star maps showing conquered systems, planets glowing crimson. His apprentice kneels, trembling as Solis crushes a hollow statue of the Jedi Council with one hand. He declares the Sith will reclaim the galaxy through fear. A massive fleet, black and jagged like blades, emerges from hyperspace. Lightning arcs across the ship's hull as soldiers chant his name. A chilling close-up of his armor, glowing with ancient runes. Dark, hyper-realistic 4K scope. Cinematic 4K wide shot of Kale boarding a battered freighter, chased by Sith hunters. Engines roar as the ship blasts into hyperspace, stars stretching into streaks. Inside, Kale argues with his pilot ally, Mira, a skilled ex-rebel with a scarred past. Their navigation fails as a Sith beacon disrupts hyperspace travel. Alarms scream, lights flicker, and the ship crashes onto a jungle moon. Steam rises from broken panels as Kale staggers out. Lightsaber glowing faintly in the mist. Strange creatures watch silently from the trees, eyes reflecting neon colors. IMAX, scope, atmospheric cinematic realism. Ultra-realistic 4K close-up of Kale discovering an ancient Jedi temple hidden beneath vines and stone. Massive statues of forgotten Jedi loom in silence, lightsabers carved into their hands. As Kale touches the temple door, it opens with a golden glow, revealing murals of battles long past. Holograms flicker, showing warnings of a Sith return. Mira urges caution, but Kale steps inside, mesmerized. A Force vision overwhelms him. Flashes of planets burning, Darth Solis' shadow, and his own face bathed in fire. His hands shake as the voice of an ancient Jedi calls his name. Cinematic IMAX atmosphere. Mystical 4K clarity. 4K cinematic battle sequence in the jungle as Sith hunters ambush the temple. Red lightsabers ignite, clashing violently against Kale's unstable blue blade. Sparks fly as Mira fires her blaster, ducking behind mossy ruins. The Sith commander snarls, hurling Kale back with Force lightning. Vines catch fire as explosions rip through ancient walls. Kale regains balance, channeling the Force instinctively, creating a shockwave that throws enemies off their feet. Rain begins to pour, steam rising from the burning jungle. Close-up of Kale's determined eyes glowing faintly with power. Epic IMAX scale action, hyper-detailed 4K realism. Ultra-detailed 4K cinematic shot inside the Jedi Council chamber, where news of Kale's battle spreads. Masters debate whether to recruit him or fear his instability. Holograms of burning systems fill the air as senators argue, their faces lit by flickering blue light. One master warns that Kale could become the weapon the Sith seek. Another insists he is the galaxy's last hope. The debate crescendos, echoing through the chamber as the camera zooms out to reveal Solis spies listening nearby. Shadows stretch across the marble floor, foreshadowing betrayal. Cinematic tension, IMAX scope, political drama in full realism. Cinematic 4K sequence of Darth Solis meditating in his warship, surrounded by red mist. His apprentice kneels, begging for more power. Solis crushes him with the Force, leaving him gasping. He speaks of Kale, sensing his growing strength, and claims the smuggler will either join him or perish. The Sith fleet advances toward the Republic capital, dark ships blotting out the stars. Planetary shields flicker weakly as citizens panic in crowded streets. Fire erupts in orbit as the first wave of battle begins. Solis rises, igniting a crimson blade as his troops kneel. Hyperrealistic IMAX visuals, terrifying 4K cinematic scope. 4K wide shot of the Republic capital in chaos. Flames engulfing districts as citizens run through smoke-filled streets. Alarms echo across towering skyscrapers. Ships flee in droves. The Senate Hall quakes as blasts shake its foundations, senators screaming and fleeing. Jedi Knights rush to defend civilians, blades glowing in the darkness. Mira lands her freighter on a collapsing landing platform, pulling Kale into the fight. He deflects blaster bolts in a dazzling blur, protecting families escaping through firelit corridors. As the skies ignite, the Sith fleet descends like predators. Close-up of Kale's face as he sees Solis' flagship blot out the sky. Realistic IMAX combat visuals, ultra-sharp 4K atmosphere. Ultra-detailed 4K cinematic duel inside the burning Senate chamber. Jedi clash with Sith assassins in brutal close combat. Marble floors shattering with each strike. Kale ignites his blade, unstable blue sparks flying as he charges into the fray. Mira covers his flank with precise blaster fire, bolts ricocheting off shattered walls. Senators cower beneath shattered statues as bodies fall around them. A Sith commander with double crimson sabers locks blades with Kale, sparks showering across the chamber. The camera spins as Kale barely blocks a killing blow, sweat and blood mixing on his face. The fight crescendos as the dome above cracks, starlight piercing through smoke. Epic IMAX close-quarters battle, hyperreal 4K detail. Cinematic 4K shot of Kale collapsing after the duel, visions flooding his mind. He sees Darth Solis on a throne of fire, entire worlds burning in his shadow. In the vision, Kale himself wields a red blade, galaxies trembling beneath his wrath. Gasping, he wakes to find Mira pulling him from the rubble. Jedi masters surround him, warning that his power is dangerous, that the dark side calls to him. Kale resists, but doubts consume his eyes. Outside, the Republic city burns, screams echoing under star-filled skies. The camera lingers on Kale's trembling hand gripping his saber. Ultra-realistic emotional close-up, IMAX-scale despair. 4K cinematic clarity. Ultra-wide 4K cinematic of the Jedi Temple's hidden archives. Flickering blue holograms illuminate endless stone corridors, carved with ancient prophecies. Kale walks slowly, guided by a hooded master who reveals a prophecy of a Shadowborn, who will either end the Sith forever or become their greatest weapon. The hologram depicts two paths: galaxies in peace under golden light, or infinite darkness spreading like a plague. Mira warns Kale to reject the visions, but the master insists he must embrace his destiny. Kale grips the wall, overwhelmed by whispers in the Force. Close-up of his tormented eyes as fire and light swirl in reflections. Mystical IMAX imagery, ultra-detailed 4K realism. 4K cinematic montage of Kale's training with the Jedi. He practices blade combat in rain-soaked courtyards, sparks hissing as steel meets water. Masters teach him to channel his fear into discipline, but his blade crackles unstable, fueled by inner conflict. Mira watches from the shadows, torn between pride and fear for her friend. Kale meditates under a glowing tree of kyber crystals, visions of Solis haunting him still. He learns to sense ripples in the force, catching stones before they hit him, lifting massive debris with sheer will. The music swells as Kale stands atop a temple tower, looking to the war-torn skies. Cinematic 4K realism, IMAX-scale atmosphere, epic training sequence. Ultra-realistic 4K space battle erupts above a fractured planet. Republic cruisers fire volleys of plasma into Sith warships, explosions lighting up the void. Fighter squadrons weave through debris fields, laser fire tracing across the darkness. Kale joins the assault, piloting a starfighter for the first time, Mira guiding him from the co-pilot's chair. Red enemy fighters swarm, their engines glowing like blood. Kale channels the force, pulling impossible maneuvers that leave enemies spinning into wreckage. Explosions bloom like fiery flowers against black skies. The Sith flagship looms ahead, massive cannons charging with crimson energy. Cinematic IMAX dogfight, ultra-detailed 4K space visuals. Cinematic 4K infiltration sequence as Kale and Mira sneak aboard Solis flagship. Hallways echo with mechanical hums, shadows stretching across metallic walls. Red-lit stormtroopers patrol in formation, their armor gleaming like obsidian. Kale silences guards with swift, precise strikes, his blade reflecting off polished steel. Mira hacks control panels, doors sliding open into cavernous chambers. The deeper they go, the more the ship feels alive, walls pulsing faintly with Sith energy. Finally, they reach a massive throne room, its ceiling lost in darkness. Darth Solis waits, blade ignited, his molten eyes burning. The camera tilts upward to capture his towering figure. IMAX-scale realism, terrifying 4K cinematic frame. Ultra-detailed 4K cinematic duel begins between Kale and Darth Solis. Sparks explode as blue and crimson sabers clash, lighting up the throne room in blinding flashes. Each strike shatters nearby pillars, stone crumbling under sheer force. Mira ducks for cover, firing at soldiers storming in, blaster bolts ricocheting wildly. Solis taunts Kale, insisting their bond in the Force makes them destined as master and apprentice. Kale screams in rage, unleashing a shockwave that blasts soldiers across the room. The battle intensifies, sabers spinning like lightning. Cinematic 4K close-up as Kale collapses under Solis' crushing Force grip. His lightsaber skids across the floor, sparks dying. Solis leans down, whispering promises of power, visions of galaxies kneeling before Kale. Kale trembles, flashes of his Force vision returning. His face bathed in fire, Mira screaming in chains. Mira shouts his name, breaking through the haze. Kale grabs his blade, reigniting it with a surge of golden light, pushing Solis back. The throne room shakes, walls cracking as the duel reignites with raw fury. Soldiers flee as the battle consumes everything. IMAX-scale visuals, ultra-realistic 4K emotional climax. Ultra-wide 4K shot of the Sith flagship crumbling in orbit. Explosions tear through decks, fire swallowing hangars. Kale and Solis duel across collapsing platforms, sparks flying into the void. Mira struggles to pilot an escape craft through flaming debris. The battle reaches the reactor core, glowing with unstable crimson energy. Solis unleashes a final storm of Force lightning, Kale barely deflecting as both are thrown apart. The reactor implodes, energy consuming the flagship. Mira screams as the ship explodes behind her, shockwaves ripping through orbit. Cinematic IMAX, space destruction, hyper-detailed 4K visuals. Cinematic 4K sequence on a Republic medical cruiser. Kale lies unconscious, scarred and trembling, visions still haunting his sleep. Jedi Masters debate whether he should be trusted, some calling him a hero, others calling him dangerous. Mira sits by his side, holding his hand, whispering he has a choice. Outside, fleets regroup, the Sith temporarily defeated but far from destroyed. Darth Solis' broken mask floats in space, hinting at survival. The galaxy breathes, but fear lingers. Close-up of Kale opening his eyes, golden light flickering faintly. Cinematic IMAX drama, hyper-detailed 4K realism. Ultra-wide 4K closing shot of a war-torn galaxy. Planets glow with scars of battle. Cities rebuilding under starlight. Jedi temples reopen, training new apprentices while shadows move in distant systems. Kale stands on a balcony, cloak whipping in the wind, watching ships ascend into hyperspace. Mira joins him, asking what future he sees. Kale grips his saber, whispering that the war is far from over. Camera pans out into the stars, Solis' laughter faintly echoing in the background. Title card burns into view. Star Wars will return. IMAX scale, closing frame. Ultra-realistic 4K cinematic finale.